Miserable traffic. Abso-freaking-lutely. Boring generic. Yep, a lot of people feel that way. Houses sliding off the hill. Yeah, that was a bad one. Wanna be Portland. Rich people pretending to be poor. Wow, look, giraffe. Blue stuff. Very much so. Way to go, BSU. Your dad's dad loved this spot. Now, this is not your typical map video, but today I'm gonna walk you guys through the Boise, Idaho hood maps. And yes, you heard that right. That is what the website is actually called. They call it hood maps, and people describe what the areas are in a way that a typical map is not gonna do it. And I'm gonna walk you through why I think these places are getting named this, but it should be a good time, and hopefully you get a laugh out of it. And then maybe this video can help you decide if this is gonna be a place that you wanna live. Maybe you find an area that stands out to you. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll just work, let's see, we'll start over here on the right. A way out. Not sure why they said that, except for everything kind of ends right here in the city, right? This is downtown Boise. This is kind of on your way out, so I would say that. As you're traveling out of town, you would kind of skirt down to Mountain Home at that point, but yeah, at that point, you're really leaving what we call the Treasure Valley. Depending on who you are and what you've researched about Boise, you're going to have Micron out here too. So that's going to be a really big employer for certain people moving out here. I've talked to a lot of people who are moving out specifically to work for Micron, whether it's the huge expansion that they're adding right now or whether they're just getting hired to go work there for the company itself. River tubes. Oh, this is the best. Now we're kind of into southeast Boise right here. I'm actually going to turn off these colors, see if that makes it a little easier. Yeah, let's do that. This is going to be southeast Boise. This is where the Boise River, which is absolutely amazing. Definitely one of the crown jewels of Boise, Idaho area. But river tubes, you got Barber Park right there, and that's where everybody kind of puts into the park. So you show up to the park, you rent a tube, and then you can take off down the river, and you'll actually float it all the way through here. You'll keep going through here, and you'll get out. I'd say right here is where you get out. So it's a beautiful float. You get to see maybe some wildlife back in this area. We got beaver. I've seen a bobcat in this area, deer. There's lots of wild spaces in this area. Really pretty. Even more Californians. Okay, you're going to see Californians kind of tagged throughout this map, which is really funny. So let's talk about, so even more Californians. A lot of great developments have gone in over here. You got the Harris Ranch over here, a couple communities. In fact, one community, Boise Hunter Homes, which I just recently highlighted, is building some homes up on this ridge line right here. And so some really beautiful properties, but those are in the $1-2 million range. And typically a lot of locals definitely feel like, who can afford that? And then people usually say, well, the Californians can afford it. Houses sliding off the hill. Ugh. Yeah, so that was bad news. There were some homes that were built up on this hillside. This article, you can go look it up if you want, if you're intrigued by that. But ultimately, some houses kind of got condemned. The land shifted, and the houses were just done for. So whoever did the building on that ended up with quite the problem on their hands. But that's the classic, like, where was that development where the houses slid off? And it's like, well, it was right there. There's actually a really fun hike right through here. If you come on a scouting trip, it could be a good hike to go do if you're looking to get out and be active while you're here. It's going to be called Table Rock, and you actually kind of see that from that hike up Table Rock. You can kind of look over and see where those houses are. So let's see. Larry Johnston left a mess here. So Larry Johnson, he was a guy who came to Boise to do some work, ended up doing some stuff with Albertsons. That stuff kind of went south, and he was kind of in a position to maybe help the economy and Albertsons, but none of that really happened, and kind of made a mess of things here. Cost Albertsons a lot, and the Albertsons family has had a big impact on the Treasure Valley. We have lots of parks because of them. This is where they essentially started Albertsons, so that's definitely part of the history of Boise, Idaho. And so somebody, said, hey, let's just tag Larry Johnson as leaving a mess here. And you can look him up, read some articles on it. It's kind of interesting, but let's keep going. So right here, busy road and campus bars. You got Boise State University right here. And because of that, whenever you got a college, it's like, okay, well, where do all the college kids go? And honestly, it's kind of all right here. This is all like college housing. A friend of mine is kind of renting a home in this area, and he was able to negotiate a really good deal because they're going to be good renters. They're not going to, play beer pong every night. This pocket specifically, if you go into a grocery store there or a coffee shop, you're just going to see a ton of college kids. You'll see bars. You'll see things that are catered to college kids. Like there's a pita pit right here, which I actually really like pita pit. The Caesar Pita Pit is one of my favorites. This area is really clean over here. I would totally agree with that. So again, if we zoom out a little bit, this is going to be kind of east, southeast Boise, and it feels fairly new. It's interesting where they put this. There's not really much right there, but yeah, just that side of town is really clean. But I find a lot of Boise is really clean, probably a lot cleaner than where most people are coming from as they're thinking about relocating here. All right, let's kind of zoom in on downtown here. So first we got blue stuff, totally makes sense. That's going to be our stadium. We got a blue field, a really great field. If you come to a game here, I would encourage you to stay on this side of the stadium. So that'd be the west side of the stadium. And the reason I say that is because then in the evening, you're not going to have the sun in your face, but you also have a great view of the Boise foothills. And so it's really fun to watch a game and also see the beauty of the foothills. It really makes me appreciate the city when I sit there because I'm like, man, what a gorgeous view. We'll give that one a thumbs up for sure. Wow, look, giraffes. That is literally something I've probably said in my YouTube video. So something cool about the Boise area is that right here, you got the Boise River and then BSU. And then as soon as you jump across this bridge, there's a pedestrian kind of cycling bridge right there. You're going to have the zoo right in front of it. And then one of the first things that you come up to is going to be a tall fence. But then on the other side are giraffes. And the giraffe's head pokes over the fence. So whenever I'm riding out there with my kids on the bike, it's always like, can we see the giraffe's head? So you'll probably think the same thing. The first time you see it, especially if I didn't tell you about it, you'd be like, not what I expected to see in Idaho is a giraffe's head poking over a fence.
Hey, it's Craig. If you're thinking about moving to the Boise, Idaho area or the surrounding area, be sure to subscribe below so that you can be the first to know about the market here and what it's like to live here in Idaho. And me and my team love helping people just like you make the move here. And so if you're thinking about getting moved here, you can reach out to us days, nights, or weekends, phone, text, or email, and we would be happy to help you plan a scouting trip or make that move or buy that home.
Let's see, new expensive apartments. Yeah, you're going to have, this is your downtown area. You're going to have apartments, condos. There's actually a very, very expensive condo for sale right now that somebody reached out to us about. Very interesting. I'll show some photos of it here. If you wanted to get a really luxurious condo, that's something you could totally do here. Boise's really fun to walk around. If you ever come and you're coming on a scouting trip, or if you live here or whatever it is, I'd encourage you to go walk around, especially if you're coming on a scouting trip. Like if you're thinking about moving, take a morning and go get some coffee, go to I think it's Blue Star Bagel. Yeah, Blue Sky Bagel is a good place. I really like their breakfast bagels. I'm a big fan of breakfast bagels. I just love them. Whenever I travel to towns, I love to see what kind of bagel sandwiches they have for breakfast. But I would encourage you to go walk around. There's some great dining places. Feel free to text me for recommendations. I don't want to give them all away on the YouTube channel, though I have mentioned them in previous videos. So lots of apartments there, bars, yep. Wannabe Portland, man, can I relate to that because I totally agree with that statement. But they have a section in Portland that is kind of up against the hill a little bit. It is a lot older. It's got a really charming street. I think it's 23rd. It's amazing how quickly you forget things. But I would say, yes, that section of Portland absolutely feels like this section. And I would say they're probably calling it Wannabe Portland, not just because of that, but probably maybe for some of the kind of people that move there, maybe some of their political beliefs and their leanings and things that you see. If I plopped you down in the middle of that and you were familiar with Portland, you might think you're in Portland. I'll leave it at that. That area, it's very desirable. Lots of older homes that have been fixed up, a very high price point as well. But it comes with proximity to a lot of great amenities, parks, great walkability, great grocery stores, Hyde Park, which is a great place for food, coffee, drinks, dining, dinner, bicycle shops, candy shops, ice cream shops, and it's also very, very charming. So this is the military reserve. So this is a really fun area to get out. We do have a bike park over there, so that's probably why they said bikes. But then we also have all these foothills up here, so great for hiking, obviously biking, taking your mountain bike out. Rich pretending to be poor hipsters. Okay, this is great. I can relate to this one too. I feel like this also kind of correlates to Portland, wannabe Portland area. This, in my mind, kind of all blends together a little bit. Again, you have some great old homes. Like I said earlier, Hyde Park is actually right in here. You have Camel's Back Park right up here. But some of the same things that I said about the wannabe Portland totally rings true to this area, right? Beautiful old homes. And again, not cheap by any means. This is what we call the North End here. Lovely area. But rich people pretending to be poor hipsters. You look at some of the houses and you're like, that can't be that expensive. And then you come to find out it's $800, $900, $1 million. It's funny because a home you could buy there, in terms of opportunity costs, I mean, you could get something a lot larger. If you were to head west, you get something with, a lot bigger piece of land. Here, you're going to have smaller chunks of land, smaller homes. You're probably going to see a lot of Land Cruisers in that area, Westphalias. You probably get the picture a little bit. All right, now if we hop down a little bit right here, somebody put LMAO, laugh my blank off. You thought we had trains, didn't you? So we have the Boise Depot, which is going to be right here. No trains are really actively using that. There is an old train that used to run on that is parked there. But the Boise Depot, very iconic. A lot of photos that you see if you type in Boise, Idaho are like taken from the train depot facing towards the city. I would say if you do get a chance and you are a bit of a history buff, you'd probably enjoy swinging up there and hearing the history behind it. I found it to be very, very interesting. And I bet if you're into that kind of stuff, you'd probably enjoy it as well. All right, let's see. Longest road ever. Okay, that's going to be State Street. So this is 84 at the bottom. Remember, 84 is going to be taking you, east to west through the Treasure Valley. But you see, if you get off 84 and you want to travel up here, you don't really have many options. Well, State Street is going to be one of them. So State Street starts all the way here, cuts you all the way out to Eagle and Star, Middleton, and all the way to 84. So it is a very long road. A lot of people use it to get to and from the Treasure Valley. A lot of people will commute on it. Me and my family will typically drive down it. We take our kids to school out in Eagle, so we're often driving it a couple times a day. All right, now if we just move left of that, like surfing, but without the waves. Okay, so this is going to be the Boise Wave. I love this area. Another great kind of cherry on top for the city of Boise. If you like surfing, if you're a Californian coming up out of here, we cannot offer you ocean waves, but we can offer you a river wave. Not exactly like an ocean wave, but something that could be really fun for you too. So it's a wave that rotates between a wave for surfing and a wave for kayaking. And again, something I love about it is that it's fresh water. If you do get it, there are two surf shops down there. One's kind of on this side, one's on this side, but you could rent a board, you could rent everything you need to go do it. And I would say, depending on the water temperatures, it's kind of nice to get a thin wetsuit if you're not in the heat of the summer. All right, so we got Garden City right here. So we got breweries. There are actually a lot of breweries and wineries going in this area. Oftentimes, if we go to an event and it's at a winery, typically we'll head to that area. It'll be like a rooftop event or something like that. So there's a lot of options in that area. Gentrification going on here. Garden City is interesting. If you talk to people and you're like, what was Garden City like 5 or 10 years ago? Often people will be like, oh yeah, like we just don't go down there. We didn't feel safe. Or, oh, I would never let my wife go down there. Or you would hear comments like that from people. But Garden City is starting to take a turn. Like I said, you're getting a lot of business that are coming in, kind of bringing a bit of the culture, kind of a nightlife, a scene, breweries, wineries. You're also getting a lot of construction happening in this area specifically. And I have a video on it if you want to dive deeper into it. It's very interesting. There's a lot of people who see a lot of opportunity in that area because there's just room for it to go up in value. And there's actually a really cool thing going on right now, right here by the wave, where there's some developers in there creating some condos and bringing in some business. It's going to be really interesting, and I'm really excited for it to be completed. If you're somebody who's looking for kind of a condo in that area, be sure to reach out to us. There are some deals that I think are off market right now. They're not listed. They're not being sold. But if you're curious to get in on something on the ground level, I have a relationship with those guys who are building out there right now. So if that interests you, just reach out. But very interesting what's happening there. I think we're going to see a lot of change over the next even in the next year, but over the next 5 years and 10 years, you're really going to see Garden City, I think, kind of find a stride and come into its own, because a lot of this other stuff has been developed, but Garden City is kind of prime for the taking in terms of development. There's just a lot of room for things to happen. In addition to that, too, another big pro of it is that it puts you really close, depending on where you're at, really close to the Boise River, which is something that makes it really interesting. All right, now we're jumping down. This is the bench. So this is physically raised up higher than the city. So this road goes down a hill right here. This trails along the side of a hill's edge, but all they said was run down. I'm curious to add my own things to this, but they said run down. And I would say the bench, you'll hit pockets where the home prices go up, and then you'll hit pockets where the home prices go down. And I would say it can fall into the same category of Garden City a little bit, where it's, it's on its way up in certain areas. So there are some really fun older communities in here. Like right here is one that I'm really intrigued by, the Randolph Robertson neighborhood. It's a lot of mid-century homes, really fun, but it can be really hit or miss. There's a lot of great little homes and things happening right in this pocket right here. And then again, you'll just kind of hit these different little communities. There are some great parts about it, and then there are some parts that kind of like are coming up or in the process of going up, or maybe can feel a little bit stagnant. So people driving stupid. Okay, I'll give you that. As you can see here, this is 84 coming in. Here you have downtown Boise, so this is everybody coming out. So you imagine if you work downtown Boise and you live kind of west of the city, you're going to take 184 to get out, and then that merges right here onto 84. And this is right where things really start to get congested. You also have a Costco right here, so maybe people are swinging over and hitting that. So there's just a lot going on right here. All right, now we're kind of looking at the Meridian area. So miserable traffic, totally. So this is going to be Eagle Road. If you're driving down 84 and you're coming down this and you're like, well, I live in Eagle, well, how are you going to get there? Well, you might take State Street, but depending on where you're coming from, you might go this way, and then you might take Eagle. Eagle is huge, multiple lanes across. Out off Eagle Road here, you kind of see here like chain restaurants and traffic, shopping, miserable traffic. Sure. So you're going to get the Village, which is a really beautiful outdoor shopping area. That's where we have the burger place In-N-Out. When it came, it planted a store there. And they just launched a second location right over here by the mall. But you get like Krispy Kreme and, just all the kind of chain stores that you would expect to see. I mean, this is kind of classic. There's a lot of people that live out there, and a lot of times you can just hit stop signs or stop lights depending on if they've kind of swapped it over. So there's just been a lot of growth and a lot of traffic. A lot of the development, specifically in Meridian, has been, and you can kind of see it's kind of spreading its way out through here. Boring and generic, that's often a con I can hear of that area. A lot of homes go up that maybe look a little bit cookie cutter depending on the developers. So boring and generic makes a lot of sense. I would say lacking in character sometimes. Soccer moms, totally. These are some really nice areas over here, some really beautiful communities, and probably a lot of families with kids in multiple sports. And so then you get the soccer moms and the Suburbans or whatever driving all over the place. Chain restaurants, we kind of did that. Momo Land. Honestly, I don't know what the Momo Land is standing for, so we'll just leave that one alone. All right, here we go. This is going to be Eagle. Two things they've said about it: entirely white and Karens. I mean, Eagle is definitely the more luxurious, affluent place to live in the Treasure Valley. Help a lot of people move into this area. There's some great homes and some great communities. And Karens, I don't know, maybe some people have had some run-ins with some cranky people who like to stick their nose in other people's business and don't let kids be kids. But I don't know. So we'll just leave that one at that. Legacy. That's funny that Legacy made this map. So I just did a film on a new community that is just on the edge of Eagle, just kind of right up here by Highway 16. And the guy who's building that, the developer, is also the person who developed Legacy. Legacy is definitely one of your premier locations. You can actually see, if we zoom in, you can kind of see how the developer developed it. He obviously liked lakes. He wanted to put homes on lakes. And he is doing the same thing up in this new community as well. So going up and to the right here of Eagle, we have the Stepford Wives. All right. I've heard stories about this area. I'm not going to dive into the stories. Hidden Springs, interesting community. I've done some great videos on it. We know a lot of families that live up in that area. They love the community feel. There's an elementary school there. And you can see it's going to be a little bit challenging to get out of there. You have a road here, and that's a road that really weaves through the foothills. It's really beautiful, but maybe on a snowy day, you have to want to be away a little bit to want to move to a place like Hidden Springs in Cartwright Ranch. You also have Dry Creek, which is another Boise Hunter Homes community right here. But Stepford Wives, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll let them describe that. So there's lots of different things about this area. I can totally see why some of these places are getting these kinds of names. If you have questions about any of these communities, you're looking to get moved out here, then you can reach out, call, text, or email, days, nights, or weekends. We'd love to help. A lot of times what we do is we help people with scouting trips. That's often the next step when you decide that you want to move somewhere. So that's what we're here for. Hope you like this video. If you're curious to watch another one, be sure to watch that video next, and I'll see you in the next one.